But before we came on air, I was joined by the Health Secretary Matt Hancock, an even more cataclysmic vote tonight than perhaps cabinet members could have expected.
Well, it became clear over the last few days that people hadn't changed their minds in large numbers to come behind the deal. I regret that. I think that this deal was in the national interest, but clearly now the Prime Minister is going to discuss with senior parliamentarians on all sides and find out what we can deliver that has a majority in the House of Commons.
We understand that was the worst government defeat in Parliament. How could you be so tin-eared to take something like that to a Parliament that was clearly going to reject it in such huge numbers?
Well, this was the deal that the Prime Minister successfully negotiated with the EU. I regret the fact that Parliament didn't support it. But what we need to do now is find what the Parliament will vote for. The thing is...
Forgive me, Matt, when you say successfully negotiated, there's nothing successful about negotiation that ends in tears and this kind of defeat.
Well, she successfully negotiated it with the EU.
Well, maybe you see now why.
And the point is that for a deal to be successful, it clearly has to be negotiated with both the EU and get through Parliament. And the next step is to find the deal that will command the majority of the Commons that is potentially negotiable with the EU, and then have those discussions with the EU. After all, the EU doesn't want a no-deal Brexit. We don't want a no-deal Brexit. The Commons doesn't want a no-deal Brexit. We saw that in 2 votes last week. What we need to find is the deal that will remove the chance of a no-deal Brexit.
Let's park the unicorns for 5 minutes, right? Because at this point, the EU is not going to come back with anything that can change the minds of 230 MPs.
Well, you say that. How do you know?
Because the EU cannot possibly make 230 people happy with one simple solution. We know it can't be done now. They're all on different sides.
Well, there may be different proposals, different suggestions that we need to listen to over the next few days.
Jacob Rees-Mogg, Hilary Benn, Anna Soubry and Crispin Blunt, they're all going to be happy now, are they, with something that the EU is going to suddenly pull out the hat?
Well, let's not prejudge the discussions that the Prime Minister is going to have. Now, of course, the goal here is to get a deal that is in the national interest, that avoids no deal, and that avoids a second referendum, which wouldn't help us anyway.
You use the word prejudge, and it seems too late for that. At what point does this kind of patience just become willful obstinacy? It looks like a government that is failing to listen to anyone and any number.
No, this is precisely what the Prime Minister said she's going to do over the next few days.
She's going to go to Brussels.
She's going to be talking to parliamentarians on our own backbenchers who she's been talking to for some time, talking to the DUP and talking to senior parliamentarians in other opposition parties.
She's left it too late, hasn't she, to find a way through with Labour. She's left it too late now. Corbyn's tabling an opposition motion tomorrow night, a vote of no confidence.
Well, I very much hope and expect that we're going to win that, because there's no appetite for a change of government in the Commons, and I think we'll see that in the vote tomorrow. And the Prime Minister's the right person to do this deal. We need to find the deal that commands a majority of the Commons.
You've had plenty of time to rule out no deal. The fact that you haven't, as a government, suggests you are enjoying keeping that prospect alive.
No, I certainly don't enjoy it. But it is the law of the land. So until that building and a majority of MPs who are elected in it support an alternative deal, no deal is what happens.
OK, well, so there are alternatives, aren't there? Because at the moment it's a very handy bargaining chip for you. You could go down a different direction now, as you know. You could meet Labour on things like customs union changes. You could meet the Norway group in terms of looking at different ones. You could meet people who are asking you for a second referendum now. Are all those just as out of the question tonight as they were before the vote?
The Prime Minister's going to have meetings with senior parliamentarians from across the board, and I'm not ruling anything out. That's not for me to do. There's going to be a process in which she will meet parliamentarians.
Would you like her to start ruling some of those things in, putting them on the table, considering them?
Well, the goal is to listen to all of the views in Parliament.
OK, would you like her to start including some of those other ideas?
Well, I'm not going to prejudge that discussion, because the nature of listening to other MPs outside of government, is that we as government ministers shouldn't prejudge what comes out of those conversations.
I wonder whether you as government ministers are now looking at yourselves very hard and saying, you let her do this. You signed off on Chequers. You showed her loyalty for the worst ever government defeat in Parliament. You must be feeling absolutely sunk by this, as she is.
Well, I'm feeling pragmatic. I'm feeling like we need to find a way forward. What I care about in this, and in these really big moments when there are huge decisions to be taken, the attitude I try to adopt is to look deep within myself at what is in the national interest. And I thought that this deal was in the national interest, both on its own merits and because it avoided no deal.
So can you look me in the eye, Matt, and say, I thought it was in the national interest.
Yes.
I've now seen Parliament's response. I can see it is dead in the water. We need to move on.
I can see that now we need to have discussions right across Parliament to see what we'll get through.
And what do you think is your best hope of getting Brexit through Parliament?
Well, I don't know. And I think we should listen to what parliamentarians say. And I'm not going to prejudge it by naming any particular way that we might go.
You can't talk about prejudging now. We've got about 6 weeks, 2 months at the most.
Well, the Prime Minister has given herself until Monday to have those discussions.
And
I'm
you
not
still
going to
think she
prejudge
is the
them.
right person. She has drawn her red lines. We know how she feels about whatever other options are on the table, which is a big no. You still think she's the best person to lead you through this mess?
Yes, I think she's the only person to. Absolutely.
Does it matter then that she always breaks her promises? She goes back on saying things won't happen and then they do happen. Is that what you're secretly hoping for now?
Well, she has put her deal with the greatest of integrity, with the greatest of perseverance. She's made the case for it. It has not commanded the support of the Commons, and now she has to respond to that. The question is, what is in the national interest? Now, I was saying before that I thought the deal was in the national interest. I voted for it, and I hoped it would command a majority, and it didn't. So now you have to ask the question, what is in the national interest?
Just
and
tell
the
me
national
something.
interest is to find the majority in that place for a deal to deliver on the referendum result in a way that protects the economy.
Matt Hancock, thank you very much.